All right, we're back. I got Gavin's message up here. Start the stream, please. We're live. Back to Cantina, Jargon, myself, Joe with Jargon, and Caden with Cantina Talk.
What's going on?
And what is going on? Not a whole lot in Star Wars right now. After last week's releases, I should say. I did have an interesting piece of news that I had sent to you earlier that I actually wanted to share. And I don't know what this means. I don't know if it means anything, guys. We got a cat in the building. I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it means anything significant. But Mark Hamill tweeted that this tweet will gain in significance when the movie I just started today is publicly announced. And there's been rumors for for a couple of weeks now, basically about Luke Skywalker being the star of this Mandalorian movie. And I think they've come from pretty non-reputable sources, but I just think the timing is really interesting with Mark's tweet there. And I don't know. What say you? Do you think we actually see Luke in the Mando movie? Because I do.
I mean,
I'm convinced.
Yeah, I'd say we will. I just don't know the extent. But if Mark was talking about a movie that he was just cast in, or not cast in, but I don't know. I feel like it's just something different. I feel like it's a different project personally.
It could. It probably is, right? It probably is. The secrecy and the way he's saying it and the significance of it just makes me think that, oh, wow, this is Star Wars related. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn. I'm not entirely sure, because the other thing I'm thinking here is that I just think there's some need for Luke back in Star Wars right now. And the other thing we know is that Mando movie is starting filming this month. We know that. That's a fact.
That is true.
The timing is suspicious.
Because it also didn't get moved up.
It did.
Yeah, because it starts next week.
Or today, for all we know.
That's true.
I'm just saying, the Mando movie was supposed to start in June. It got moved to May. We know that production is starting this month. Mark Hamill tweets that the movie I start working on today is basically something he can't say what it is, but the tweet he's talking about is going to gain significance. I don't know. Very interesting to me. It's got me a little hyped about a Luke appearance.
Same here. I mean, hey, if we get one, I'm not going to complain. I'm more than happy to have one. I don't know. I'm just keeping expectations.
Fair enough.
I'm not trying to overhype myself, because if it doesnn't happen, I'm gonna be more upset with myself. Coming off of Bad Batch, I feel like that's, for me anyway, that's the course that I need to go through.
Try not to overhype. No, I 100% understand that that kind of side of it. It's been last time we saw Luke now was, what was that, 2020 or 2021?
Yeah. 2021 with Boba.
Boba, yeah. So 2021 was the last time we see Luke, and clearly there's more to the story. They didn't even mention him in the Ahsoka show at all. So I think now is kind of the time, but we're not getting another season of the Mandalorian. So it's are we getting a Luke show? Are we getting a Luke movie, or is he just going to show up in these other projects, which I think makes more sense, because they can just deep fake him or do whatever for 20 minutes without having to break the budget. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I honestly hope that we do get something Luke related. I just don't want him to keep bouncing from shows. I wanted to it be an actual Luke show, not just him in guest appearances. Cause,
I mean, that's what I ultimately want, but I think they have to recast to do that.
Yeah, and Graham would be perfect. I don't know why they wouldn't just use Graham. It probably would also save them so much money, and it would
unbelievable
also,
amounts of money. Yeah,
it would just make it better for the story. So
yeah,
that's where I stand on it.
Oh, I agree completely. I think recasting is the move. I think Graham is the perfect person too, and you can show much more emotion with an actual human face rather than a deep fake. But we haven't seen the end of Luke. We know that for sure. I think he either shows up in Dave's movie, but I could see them starting to maybe towards the end of the Mando movie being like, whatever's going on, it's too much for Mando and Grogu to handle. Well, who do they know that can help? They know Luke.
That's true. I mean, like, at the same time, for me, like, I feel like I would have more emotion into it, and I would feel more about it. Like, because if I'm looking at it, like it's gonna be emotional because it's Luke, but at the same time, I'm just gonna be like, I know it's not really Luke, and I think I have to see like Graham actually being there, like showing emotion, because if not, it's like I think at this point, it's not gonna feel the same.
Yeah, if we're
At
just
least to
getting
me.
robot head Luke, which is basically what a deepfake is, it's like it's like just so emotionless. Yeah, I mean, I'm still open to it, especially after like Harrison and Indiana Jones, the new one or whatever. Like the de-aging was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it looked perfect. Like I had I had nothing bad to say about it. I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, that's why I'm still open to like the idea of it. But I don't know. It's
I mean,
tough.
I guess there is one thing I could say about it. The old Harrison voice with the young Harrison face was the only thing that was like,
That's a tough one.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, it didn't take me out of it, and I still enjoyed it the exact same. But I mean,
yeah,
some
I
people,
mean, it's
what are you
definitely
gonna
a little. It's like one of those things that's like a little odd when you first hear it, and then you just gotta adjust.
you just go with it. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like with the Mando, like Luke's face definitely was like his lip would randomly twitch. Like,
It
would just,
got
like,
yes,
yeah,
and it
like,
got progressively better. Like I will say, Luke from like Mando 2 to Boba was like a huge improvement.
yeah,
So
like it was near perfect, I'd say.
with a movie budget, who knows?
But at the same time, I don't want 90% of that budget to go to the deepfake technology, because
I don't either. That's a good point.
Indiana Jones, I think Dial of Destiny had 300. It was a $300 million budget.
Oh yeah,
and it bombed. So like,
yeah,
I don't know. I can't.
yeah. Supposedly
I
that
just hope.
opening sequence costs like $100 million to do.
I mean, I'm not surprised, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
wild.
surprised.
Tony, we Rambo. What's up, guys? Imagine if Rey Skywalker with Ahsoka and Mando and Boba Fett and Grogu and Luke Skywalker are in the new Star Wars movie. See, in the new, because there's two movies coming out. There's a Mando movie and a Rey movie. I don't think Ahsoka, Mando, Boba, anyone is going to be in the Rey movie. Maybe Grogu. Maybe.
Grogu's the only likely one, just because of him being able to be alive for 1,000 years.
Yeah, and like maybe a Force ghost of Luke. I could see that.
Do you think Mark would be up for it, or do you think Mark would?
I think he would. I mean, because they're gonna pay him.
Yeah, that's
at the end of the day,
I was thinking of a blank check. Like, what's your number?
pretty much. So yeah, I think I want to see Mando and Boba at the very least. Boba Fett. I mean, as far as like, I don't want to get myself too hyped up either. Like, oh man, this movie, like, it's a Favreau movie. Like, it's gonna be good. I'm fairly confident it's gonna be good and better than Mando season 3. But I want to see Boba. That's like the one cameo I'm like, we need Boba back with Mando.
Yeah, I need Boba back. We need Luke.
We need him
back.
kicking ass.
Yeah, and also too, I would say like maybe not in the Mando movie, but in Dave's movie, we need the big three.
Yes,
Like you need the big three,
and you got to recast them.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the only way you can move forward with this franchise at this point. Because love Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill probably is going to want to, like, look at James Earl Jones. He's going to want to retire soon. James Earl Jones already did.
It's the only way you can move forward with this era. I mean, you can move forward with the franchise by going back 1,000 years or forward 1,000 years. But like, if they want to continue sticking into the Empire era or the New Republic era, like you can't just ignore Leia and Han forever. Like,
yeah, and if they're gonna go the deepfake route for all three of them, that's gonna cost so much money, and they're not gonna be able to make a profit. And I would rather them just recast, even though I love Clone Wars animation. I'd rather them just recast than go into the Clone Wars animation for everything. Even though I wouldn't be against it, I would just, if we could have it over Clone Wars, I would take the recast.
Yeah, it's so tough because like part of me thinks, because I love animation too, and I especially love Star Wars animation. It's looking better and better every year. part of me is like, okay, if they were going to make a Clone Wars style series that focuses on the big three, the original trilogy heroes, throw in Lando too and all of them, then that would be cool as long as it ties into Dave's movie and they still make a live action appearance in Dave's movie. That would allow them to like cut down on the cost of telling the bulk of the story.
Yeah.
Because you're telling most of it in animation. Then you get to the live action and it's like, okay, you're going to deep fake all three of them for 30 minutes or whatever. You know what I mean? Of screen time.
And that's kind of like why like I wanted like with like my fanfic ending was like if we can get all of this other stuff taken care of before we get to the movie would just hit the ground running.
Oh yeah.
And but at the
movie
same
could
time,
be huge.
Yeah, but at the same time, like look at what happened with Ahsoka. Like they still took 4 episodes to recap everything. So or 3 episodes to recap pretty much everything. So like
that happened in Rebels, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean,
like, imagine taking half a movie to recap.
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like they're gonna take some time to recap if they were to do that anyway. So
dude, even Mando season 3 recapped Book of Boba Fett basically in like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, like
remember they're like he just like goes back to the armor and she's like, yeah, you need to go to the mines. Like, yeah, we heard that like 2 episodes ago. Basically, it's just like.
I think it's because they weren't thinking that anyone would actually like go and like watch, but like they didn't think people were gonna make the jump back and forth.
Well, then they shouldn't have had Mando episodes in Boba. You know what I mean?
Dude, you're preaching to the choir. Like that should have been like the beginning of Mando season 3, because that would have been like imagine those 2 episodes were condensed into one.
Like gosh,
dude. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
imagine if Mando season 3 started, yeah, with those.
That's what I'm saying. Mando season 2. Insane start. Mando season 3, not so much.
I can agree there. I can agree there. Gavin, War Eagle, no doubt. The Mando movie should be called Baby Yoda's Quest for Food. The best episodes of Mandalorian are all about Grogu looking for snacks. I do love when he's in the school and he's like taking that kid's snacks.
Yeah, dude, I want to. I don't know why, but like. I've never had good macaroons, like really good ones, and I want to steal like the ones that Grogu had. Just because like it was just like the color. I'm like, dude, I wonder what those taste
like. Blue macaroons, they look good. Also, in season 3, I definitely think one of the funniest things is when he got like the mech suit.
Yeah.
For a second, and he was like going to get food with it, like
that, and then along with just
so
the
funny.
no button, like
oh my gosh, dude, that was actually hilarious. I'm glad it didn't like they didn't drag it on too long too, like he was just done with the suit like an episode or whatever. That was funny. So I really like this comment here.
I do too.
Star Wars needs to do what JJ Abrams did in Star Trek back in 2009. It gave the franchise new life. So I feel like we always talk about Rian Johnson. We never talk about JJ Abrams.
That's because we always have everything bad to say about Rian Johnson and nothing.
I know. Like, so I want to, let's talk about JJ for a second, because I'm like, it's so weird. Cause I like going into episode 7, I'm like, damn, they got JJ Abrams. Like this is going to be incredible. Cause he did Star Trek 09. He did Super 8, which is an awesome movie. And he did Mission Impossible 3, which is very good for the Mission Impossible franchise.
That was JJ?
Yes, and he wrote it.
Dude, I never knew that. Like, and I watched
Hoffman one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying because like out of the 3, like the original 3, that was my favorite, and then the Ghost Protocol took over. But like,
right.
But yeah, I don't know how I never knew it was JJ. But I mean, I also first watched it when I was like 8, so like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So that's JJ also, and so going into episode 7, I'm like, damn, JJ's doing this. Like that's gonna be freaking incredible. And honestly, I loved episode 7.
Yeah, I thought it's the best out of the trilogy. Like it.
Oh, it is the best out of the 3, obviously. Yeah.
It felt like A New Hope all over again, but not in a bad or campy way.
Yeah, it was like we have some new heroes to look forward to, blah, blah, blah. And now we're getting Luke in the next movie, and it's about to like shit's about to go down, except it didn't.
I might ruin this for you though. So I'm just gonna say this. I saw it in an interview today. Mark Hamill was talking about when he was reading the script. Anytime that like Luke was mentioned, he'd like highlight it and make a note of it. And then when he started reading the forest battle, and he like it was like talking about when lightsaber gets grabbed. He was like, "Dude, this is my entrance." And then when he wasn't, like, he seemed like he was like genuinely like let down that wasn't like his entrance. And like
I
the
don't
way that he
I
was
don't blame
describing,
him.
like the way that would have been the perfect way to bring him in.
Yeah.
After he said that, I'm like, dude, why didn't that happen?
Yeah, instead of giving like Rey all of a sudden like lightsaber capabilities when she's never held one before, and I know she used a staff, blah blah. Lightsaber is a whole different weapon. Um, yeah, having him grab the lightsaber kind of save the day, get them off the planet. That would have been,
That would
oh
have
my
been like top
gosh,
tier.
oh my gosh. I know. I've heard him talk about it. It's like, yeah, that's a bummer. But regardless, it's so weird because JJ has not directed anything since The Rise of Skywalker.
Do you think
That's how
like
tarnished his
I was just about to say
his
that.
legacy is.
I'll say, do you think it's that bad and like that deep in the gutter that like
Yes,
no
dude,
no studio
he had a deal with DC. He was gonna reboot all this stuff, not James Gunn. They straight up took his deal off the table.
did they?
Yes, just like they
I
did.
didn't even know that. Like that was that was like the original deal was JJ. I thought like
Yes, this is before James Gunn got his deal. They signed to do DC movies with JJ, and he was going to be like the one of the main producers of the DC movies.
dude. Anything,
Isn't that
but
crazy?
Ryan Johnson gets movies still. Like,
Well, I don't think Ryan's are ever happening. Let's be honest; those got shelved. Those 3 movies he's allegedly going to do one of these days, those are never coming out.
I meant like Knives Out 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah, sure. I don't know why Netflix threw so much money at him, but
I mean,
it
hey,
is what it is. Yeah, it
still
is
good
pretty
movies.
crazy because like when I go back and Star Trek '09 is one of the best sci-fi movies of like the last 20 years.
That's fair.
It is. I'm telling you. And
I was saying,
like it got me into Star Trek. Like it totally he's Clark's correct when he says it gave the franchise new life. Like it brought like younger people to the franchise that hadn't really watched it before because Star Trek was something from like the 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? Like it was old basically. So
that's how I feel with Dune 1 and 2 and also with Blade Runner 2049.
oh yeah.
Like
Oh,
that made
yeah.
me instantly go back and like watch like the Harrison Ford one. And then also like start watching the original Dune.
Oh yeah, I watched the original one too after I saw Dune 2 because
Yeah,
I'm like,
I
I
did
gotta
too.
see what this is about. So yeah, but I watched so much Star Trek after that. I watched, the Next Gen. I watched a bunch of the movies. And now I still like Star Trek and I watch, the new shows that are out. Well, some of them, but
I
most of
never
them.
watched a whole bunch of Star Trek. My grandpa likes Star Trek more than Star Wars, but he definitely showed me more of Star Wars. And I remember us watching not like a whole bunch, but like some of the Next Generation.
Yeah.
And then he showed me like little things too, like obviously like the Captain Kirk fight, like little things like that.
Yeah,
He'd
yeah.
always quote the intro, like he'd like say it along with like every episode. That's like a lot of the things I remember. And I think also Kelsey Grammer in an episode. I think Kelsey Grammer's in an episode. There's something with
He
time
might
travel.
be, man. There's so many
they're
like
like those are just like key takeaways because I remember my grandpa being like, "Yeah, that's the guy that's an X-Men. Like that's the guy that plays Beast." And I was like, "Wait, what? Charles
yeah,
Xavier
yeah,
and Beast are both in this?"
yeah.
That's like
So
that's really
funny.
like the only thing that like I really remember besides obviously Patrick Stewart, but yeah.
Yeah, dude. Next Gen, I've watched it front to back twice, and I love it. Highly recommend it. And First Contact, which is one of the Next Gen movies, is incredible. No, Star Trek's got some good stuff. Even Strange New Worlds, the current show that's airing, is really good. And once again, I mean, just to paint a picture for you guys about recasting here, though. So obviously, we have William Shatner as Kirk in the OG. We have Chris Pine as Kirk in the JJ reboots, which they made 3 movies. And then we got a new Kirk in Strange New Worlds, Paul Wesley. That's his name.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah, and he's good in every single iteration. I mean, I think Chris Pine is just as good as just as good as Shatner. And I think Paul is doing a really good job as like a young Kirk who's not yet a captain. So it can be done. Like, George did it with Obi-Wan. I mean, it can be done.
That's definitely true. For me though, like I'll always see Chris Pine. Like I'll always see it as Chris Pine. Same thing like Wonder Woman. I could
'Cause
never believe that it's the character. I would like it's just Chris Pine. Like Chris Pine is too much of just like The Rock. Like Rock to me, like Dwayne the Rock Johnson can never be a believable character anymore because I just it's The Rock. He's gonna do people's
That's kind of
elbow
funny.
or
Yeah,
like
I
like
feel the same way about The Rock. I don't about Chris Pine, but I definitely do about like The Rock or like Kevin Hart. I'm like, yeah, that's just.
But like with Chris Pine, it's not like a bad thing. I'm still gonna enjoy the movie. I just can't take him seriously because I'm like it's Chris Pine. Like I don't know.
Fair enough.
Like for example, like with Stellan Skarsgård, like it's so different per role.
Oh my gosh, from like Andor to Dune. Whew,
Yeah, even though he sounds
crazy.
similar, it's like complete opposite.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Yeah.
Hans, what's up? That's a cat. It is, and yeah, she's all over the desk. Grogu, search out the frog family to eat more eggs.
And
he just,
he's gonna be wiping out the planet.
yeah, he just like goes on like an assassination of the frog species. Oh my gosh.
Speaking
natural super dicks. Yeah.
speaking of the frog species, I don't know where I saw it. This was a while ago. That apparently they're originating on Nimban. Like that's where they like we're supposed to like originate. From.
Really interesting.
Originally, which
they changed that at some point.
Yeah, if anybody knows, Nimban was originally where Yoda was supposed to be instead of Dagobah, and that's where Han Solo was in Solo during the war when he first met.
Oh yeah.
So
that's
like
right.
it's a deep cut from like way back when. So
it's so funny. I've heard it thrown around a few times, so that's pretty interesting. I would have brought in the choreographer from the prequels when they got to Last Jedi and have the Russo brothers direct.
dude, I'm saying if the Russo brothers direct anything Star Wars, it's gonna be infinitely better than anything that comes out from the directors minus Dave and John.
Yeah, their Marvel
nothing,
stuff is good. I trust I like Favreau a lot personally, so I'm like I'm fine with Favreau. I think he's just as good.
Dave and John, I'm fine with. I'm saying like I love James Mangold, but I think like the Russo brothers could take the whole direction of like the Jedi Order in a whole new way, in a like a serious way. Not saying that it's not serious, but like give it more perspective. I don't know. Like the Winter Soldier is still my favorite MCU movie.
I do think that they're really, really good at balancing like some of the lighthearted like humor and stuff and the action. Whereas someone like Ryan Johnson, who I'm going to bring up again, completely failed at it. Like
Taika Waititi.
Overboard, way overboard, man. So yeah, I think it'd be cool. Honestly, my pick, if I was going to reboot the sequels entirely and like wipe them off the face of the earth, I would pick Joe Kosinski to do all of the sequels.
I would pick Greg Ferguson as the cinematographer.
Greg Fraser? Yeah.
Did I say Ferguson?
Yeah, you said Ferguson.
I don't know why I said Ferguson.
Right. I mean, after Rogue One, yeah, he deserves it, man.
And also, like, anytime there's anything to do with lightsabers, you have to bring back Nick Gillard. I like, you have to keep it. You have to keep it consistent. At least I think, anyway. Even with the Jedi Order not being a thing anymore and not being trained, you still have to keep it consistent.
Yeah, and Gillard is the choreographer, for those of you who don't know, who was during the prequels doing all the saber fights. So if you haven't seen his stuff on YouTube, it's crazy. The fact that they've moved away from him is like one of the most insane things to me. Like, I don't even know what they're thinking.
I don't know. I'm so glad too that when Hayden came back for Ahsoka, that like Dave let him direct that entire scene in the World Between Worlds. Like Hayden was like directing everything, and he choreographed everything with Ariana Greenblatt. Like,
yeah, because he knew all the moves.
I mean, and like that just shows that like not only did like Dave, if you have a good idea, like, he'll let you run with it, but he also respects where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
Like, especially with it being like from like Nick Gillard's background.
Yeah, I do wish they'd bring back Nick Gillard, but I don't think they're going to. And the reason is because he's now really close with Star Wars Theory, and Disney seems to hate Star Wars Theory. Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is there, but I don't know, man.
Did you see that? I don't remember the name of the guy, but he said that George is coming back for a live action show.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't buy it, honestly.
I feel like we would have been told by now.
That would have been a huge announcement, and we're not getting anything. So
really quickly, do you want to segue to that George news I sent you? Speaking of George,
which one is this? I feel like I need to.
George reportedly has said that Kenobi is one of his most favorite recent Star Wars projects.
Yeah. Let's pull this up and talk about this, guys. I am sorry. Like, no, I refuse to believe this.
Well, with who the person who is stated as heard that is where I'm kind of just like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna believe it fully or not.
Yes. So Pablo Hidalgo.
Yeah. I mean,
I
mean,
no.
I'm assuming like, okay, if I want to play devil's advocate, I could say from like having like the feeling with like the close feeling with those characters, maybe. But that's really about it. Like that's the only thing to me that like, I mean, unless George only saw the trailer for Kenobi, then I can get behind it. Like that's about it for me.
Dude, I'm sorry, but like the funny thing is like this is all hearsay. Like Pablo Hidalgo says he heard that Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of George's favorites. Like, okay, who do you hear it from? Pablo Hidalgo is notoriously full of shit. The guy is a tool, and I'm not even kidding. If I ever was in charge of Lucasfilm, he'd be the first person I'd fire.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, instantly.
Dude. I don't know, man. I don't know about this guy. I don't trust him one bit.
I just don't know how he's like still around after like he's tweeted some really like out there shit, but they'll keep him around over Gina. It's like kind of right. I'm like what's going on, dude?
They keep him around, and I cannot quite figure it out. The funny thing is, he basically lost his job to Dave. He was essentially the creative, like, head of the story group, and now that Dave is the creative director of all of Lucasfilm, he basically can veto anything this guy says, which is great. So I also think the only reason he said this is because it's the only live action project that Pablo's had any hand in, and he needs to feel like justified for it, man.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
Swear, dude. I freaking hate that guy.
With everything with Dave too, I just want like to clarify for people. Like for example, like Acolyte, Skeleton Crew, everything like that. That was already before Dave had gotten the promotion, so he didn't really have a hand in that. Everything past this, so like everything past when Skeleton Crew comes out, everything that is past that, Dave will have had his hand in it and will have creative control over. So like errors and things will be fixed. It's still going to take a little bit of time because this was filmed almost 2 years ago.
Yeah, Acolyte, I don't think he has much of a hand, and neither does he not in Andor either. But Skeleton Crew, he's actually an EP, so him and John are EPs. Yeah, yep. So I think maybe a little bit more of one there.
I just meant as in like for like people like stepping on his toes, for example, like to where like if there's something in a script that he doesn't like, he can't be told no, it has to stay in. Like Dave can pull that out.
Yep.
If it doesn't make sense, Dave can pull it out. But it still is going to take a little bit of time for it to catch up to that point because of the strikes.
And it's not like Dave hasn't made some crazy weird ideas before. So we're still going to see some strange stuff, or maybe stuff we don't expect to happen or don't see eye to eye on. But I just overall, I think he shares more of George's vision than most of these other people.
Fluffy tail.
Yep, fluffy tail. I know. I think that in the new Rey movie, Anakin's Force Ghost should meet Rey. Like, why? Like, it
wouldn't. I don't think it would make like it doesn't.
She doesn't know anything about it. Yeah, she doesn't know anything about it.
I mean, unless she can look back, like I don't know, like look back at look at this hearse, like the saber that's in the dirt, and like see all the younglings that got slaughtered. But it would feel like wasted. Why would she bury it in the first place? Then if she's just gonna pull it back up.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm like, I like if he showed up in Rise of Skywalker, it would have made a little more sense to me.
Yeah,
because of the Palpatine connection.
I mean, she heard his voice, but that's like she heard everyone else's voice too. I mean,
yeah, it just would have made a little more sense to me. But I'm like, I'm totally open to see what happens. I have no idea where they're taking this new Jedi Order movie. I really hope they're not just stealing the storylines from the new Jedi Order in Legends. I want to see something a little more original, because if you're going to do the Vong story, I would rather just see a Legends adaptation, an animation or whatever, as we've talked about a trillion times.
It's Star Wars. I'm still going to go see it. I don't know. I don't even know if they do the Vong because of the Ascendancy books. I think they would go with the Grisk.
Grisk, yeah, it's gonna probably be Grisk. That's right.
Along with that,
And that would be okay, I think, actually, because then it's like it's not the Vong story. The Vong are not the Grisk, and we're getting something new, a new enemy that is not the Empire, not a remnant of the Empire, not a separatist. You know what I mean? It'd be something, not a Sith, even. It's something
it'd be
new,
entirely different.
Yeah, kind of cool.
Along with that, I have a comment. I'm also restreaming this to Instagram and TikTok. This is from TikTok. One of the commenters, Washington, said that Pablo said that the Holdo maneuver wasn't a problem with the light speed ramming. So that's also like something that's just another nail in the coffin on that one.
That's just Pablo, man. That's just Pablo. I don't know. I don't anything he says, I just discard it. So at this point, I
just more so saw that and thought it was a little bit funny.
I think I had heard something like that before too. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Cat is staring you down, bro. Yes, Hans. My cat likes to just stand here and look at me while I talk. So, it's very interesting. I don't know. I feel like cats want to, like, they're predators still. They have ulterior motives. Lord Argo, what's going on? Who would be the reboot big three? Sebastian, Strauss, Luke. Don't you mean?
I think you mean Stan.
Stan.
I mean, I'd be fine.
Sebastian
with Stan
Shaw
too.
is the OG Vader, so I think you mean Stan. But Sebastian Stan, I'd be all for it.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, they already have Graham. I would feel like if I was Graham, I'd be a little upset if they just like kicked him out. Like,
yeah, Graham looks a lot like Luke. Like, so does Sebastian. Stan, I'm getting confused now because of this. I think, hey, it's an easy mistake, Clark. We've all been there. I'll name my three right now. I want Billy Lord as Leia. Yeah. I want Graham Hamilton as Luke, and I don't think I want what's his face. I don't even know his
Alden
name.
Ehrenreich.
Alden Ehrenreich for Han, man. I don't know. I don't think I want him as Han.
Really? Like, okay, like, I mean,
we gotta find someone else because I just don't love it.
Who else though do you think could pull it off? Like,
I'll say this about him in Solo, which I actually think is pretty decent. His facial like expressions are perfect.
That's what I'm saying. It's in my top 4 favorite Star Wars movies. I said it. Everyone, I said it. Like, I didn't see it after.
Hot take.
I didn't see it after The Last Jedi. I saw it in 2020. So that, like, seeing it just as Han Solo's backstory, I was like it's a pretty good movie. Like,
yeah, I saw it also in 2020. My view is not tainted of it. That was my first time I saw it too. So I agree. It's a good movie. I like the portrayal of the Pikes in that movie better than I do in Book of Boba.
Yeah, easily.
Oh, they're pretty sinister in that. They're cool.
I mean, Boba, they just got choked out, like, and stood there. Like, they didn't.
If you give me Billy and if you give me Graham, I'll take Alden. That's fine.
Like, there was just that report of him coming back like last year, and we haven't heard anything else on it. Like, and he signed like it said that, like, in the thing, like, he signed a contract. But
the one thing about Han is that, like, the Indiana Jones thing worked so well that I would actually be willing for them to just stay deep faking him, because he's not like Han isn't the most important character in the story, if we're being honest. Like,
I would almost argue if they take the bloodline story along with this, like just add to like the problems.
Yeah,
I think Leia's story would be the most important with Billy Lord.
Yeah,
over even having Luke.
That's my thing. I think, like, Luke, a lot of the time you can say, like, oh, he's off at his academy. Leia is, like, in the center of the New Republic. Like, how are you going to tell a Thrawn story without Leia? It makes no sense. They already had trouble getting around it in Ahsoka.
Well, and along with that too, like, I'm just think, like, if they do Heir to the Empire, if you want to raise the stakes even more and make the Republic even more so against Luke, why wouldn't they do the bloodline story of outing Leia?
Yeah,
because that would
really cool.
That would drive the stakes up so much more. Because then when the New Republic Coruscant ultimately gets bombed, sorry, spoilers, like, they're gonna be so screwed because they didn't believe them in the first place, and they decided to outcast these two
Yeah.
when all they were doing was trying to fight for the Republic. Like that's
Well, they won't stop fighting. I mean, it's not like them to just because. I mean, we already know they don't stop fighting because
yeah,
Leia forms the resistance. So, but yeah, the Bloodline story would. That's first of all, that's one of the best like canon novels.
agreed.
Besides like the Thrawn ones, and second of all, it would go perfectly with like the New Republic's incompetence because
Exactly.
they're trying so hard to be like, oh, the New Republic doesn't care. They won't do anything about it. Well, like Leia, Luke, Han, even Mon Mothma, like they're going to care. So something has to happen that forces them out of that picture. And I think, yeah, Bloodlines is
Senator
perfect.
Ziono. If anything, I feel like he'd be the one leading the charge against it.
Yeah,
Like,
well, he's our Boris Phalia in canon.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, easily.
The prequel and OG fights that circles around most of everything that Disney has put out. OG fights, I don't know if I can say that because the fight in New Hope is like one of the worst things I've ever seen.
I think also at the same time that was their like not only like Alec Guinness was pretty up there in age, but I don't think they understood really where the direction they wanted to take it either.
Oh no, 100% they didn't. I mean, I'm just if you watch the prequels and then you jump forward to number 4 and you watch Vader and Obi-Wan fighting again, it's just like, oh my god, this is terrible. But I like the OG fights, and I really, really like the fight in Empire. I mean, obviously, there's so much emotion there, and Return of the Jedi. So
I almost like this like with Return of the Jedi, like okay, that's showing how to use the lightsaber like a baseball bat in the right way.
yeah, when he's just swinging away.
Yeah, when he's just like that. If you're gonna use it like that, that's the right way to use it. Not have it bounce off a stormtrooper armor. Like,
yeah.
I mean, okay,
Well, the bounce off a stormtrooper armor, man. I don't. That's just
you could definitely tell that like when they had like the LED blade in that the blade bounced off. They just went with it in post.
In
like,
post, yeah. They didn't have the stunt saber. The stunt sabers are a little shorter, so they swing it in front of them and then they put it in post, through them or whatever. I don't know. I have a lot of issues with using the LED sabers. I just think, even though we weren't getting that lighting effect, the lighting, it's so hard because the lighting effect looks good sometimes, like in the Mandalorian when Luke showed up or Rogue One hallway scene. Like that lighting effect does look really good. Or even like the last episode of Kenobi, like it works, but like I don't notice in the prequels, like, or even in the original trilogy, the lightsabers just look so much more like this is like a plasma like beam. You know what I mean? And there's just something else to it.
I think they just have to update how they're gonna do it because I like with Kenobi when he's in the quarry, like it's so blown out from his saber.
Oh yeah.
I think that they have to tone it down in a way because like with neopixels you could change the brightness. So like I still want to see that like the reflectivity. Like I want to see it like because you got to think if it is this plasma thing, it's gonna be bright. It's gonna be reflective. Like there's gonna be like, reflecting off of things. But also I want it to be toned down a little bit to where it's not overpowering. I think Ahsoka and Mando, the way they did it with hers was perfect. But
yeah, Ahsoka's look pretty good in Mando. What I'm gonna say? I'm actually gonna say this. If you watch like some of the behind the scenes for the sequel stuff, they did have a very faint light on the lightsabers because they hadn't really gotten the full LED technology yet that they were like,
because Galaxy's Edge wasn't out yet.
Right. So they basically had these. I was trying to find it, but I don't really know where. If just go watch some of the behind the scenes of Force Awakens and you'll see what I'm talking about. The sabers actually do look pretty good in the sequels. The sabers themselves, they look better than the TV shows. I'll give you that. I mean, some of this lighting, man, this is like absurd.
I just like when I think of like how bad it has looked, I go to instantly like the Kenobi and the quarry, just because of like how
like this
blown. Yes, yes,
like blue.
Like tone it down a little bit.
I don't know what website
like,
this is.
I would be fine with it like covering up to like at least like half of his face. Okay, yeah, look at that. Yeah, like just tone it down a little bit. Make it a little less bright. Like it doesn't have to be that bright. Tone it down.
It's pretty bad.
I mean,
it's pretty bad.
I don't think we'll ever get how they looked in the prequels when it comes to the way that they're shown, just because like the technology is so advanced now, it would look out of place with everything else in the scene. I feel like.
This looks pretty good. See how she's not blown out blue. He's not blown
Look at
out
his belt.
red. Like,
Like
yeah, you're getting a
that's
little
how
bit
it
of
should be.
reflection. Yep,
I mean,
that's better.
yeah.
Even here, you're getting a little bit of the color. It's like, but on the
That's
back side of them, it's not like full on.
look at their look at John Boyega's face though. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
it's a
pretty
little
blue.
bright, but like when they're saber locking, like it looks fine.
See here though, she only has the blue on one side of her. It's not lighting up the whole entire room.
Yeah, it's you're not holding an LED light. Like
right. So yeah,
I think how it looks.
that's one thing they got right is the lightsabers. I'll say that much.
I
But
think in Book of Boba Fett with Luke with his training, it looked perfect.
yeah, I think the Luke saber they really nailed in both.
Yoda's saber too. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a lot of comments to catch up to. Sorry,
we do.
guys. They confuse character deconstruction versus character assassination. Oh, wait, hold on. I think I may have skipped one. The old expanded universe has some of the absolute bangers with epic fights. Oh yeah, I mean,
Look at all the Kotar cinematics. Like prime example.
yeah. I mean, even it's so tough, like reading a lightsaber fight via like books, but it's more about the emotion, obviously, which kind of goes back to the way the original trilogy was for me. Like, it's not about like how cool the choreography was, which obviously in the prequels was awesome. It's just more about like there's so much weight on these fights, and Empire, obviously, the huge reveal and Return of the Jedi, the whole thing about Leia being found out and all that. There's just so much going on that it makes them important.
Like, love the prequels, love everything that was done, but like the fantastical element of them like doing all these neat tricks isn't in like like Return of the Jedi, for example. But it doesn't need to be. Like it has that fantastical element, but it feels meaningful to it. It doesn't feel like, for example, when I love the scene, but like when Anakin and Obi-Wan are fighting on Mustafar and they're both doing the Obi Annie and locked together, like obviously that's not practical, but like Luke being up on the high ground and Vader throwing a saber, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it feels right for it, and it doesn't feel like they're just trying to have cool spinning tricks. Like it's meaningful for it.
Yeah, I agree completely, man. We do get like Luke jumping out of the carbonite thing, in Empire, like,
And it works.
Yeah, like they're trying to throw a little bit of that in there, but it's just obviously in the prequels, it's like, dude, it's overboard to a certain degree. Like you said, the OBA.
I think it's.
Like, I can't even watch that without laughing. Like it's so funny to me.
I think it's almost supposed to be though, because like it's.
Oh yeah.
Like it has to feel so different from what we know, for it to be like, oh wow, this is what it was like.
Well, George said he wanted to be like a dance, like two partners dancing basically. Like they were matched move for move. So, and it works that way.
Definitely does. Like, especially with Anakin and Attack of the Clones switching from the different. He switched to 3 different forms while fighting Dooku.
Oh yeah, I do like that fight. I like Attack of the Clones.
I remember when it's like I saw a clip of the trailer for it when it was in the trailer. I was like, dude, that's sick. I gotta go watch Attack of the Clones now.
I saw it in theaters. It was awesome.
Must have been nice, dude. I was still crawling on the ground, probably.
I still remember when Yoda ignited the lightsaber in theaters. I was a little kid. I was like, oh my God. Crazy.
Well, I mean, I'll probably see it next week when it comes out in theaters.
I know people want more young Luke, but some simply want to see Thrawn fight Grisk on screen. Yes. Brittany, welcome, by the way. I want to see young Luke. I don't need him to fight Thrawn. It's just that if Thrawn is attacking the New Republic in any way, which it seems like is going to be the case, then Luke needs to be involved with the New Republic. He never comes face to face with Thrawn in the Thrawn trilogy, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah, like they don't ever have to meet, and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
like
I would love to see Thrawn, get exiled and take on the Grisk. That would be cool. That would be an awesome spin-off movie, or series or whatever. But his whole thing is he just came back to the core galaxy, and for some reason, he wants to take over what the Empire has left, and I think he needs to build an arsenal to take on the Grisk. I think that's always his ultimate goal.
Yeah.
The protection of the Chiss people. But
I was just going to say, like, everyone has to remember, like, Thrawn's big thing is everything he does is for the Chiss ascendancy. The reason why he joined the Empire was to protect the Chiss. So everything he does ultimately is for them, whether it's good or bad.
Right. And Zahn has said, Timothy Zahn, by the way, the creator of Thrawn, has said in the past that he feels that Legends Thrawn and Canon Thrawn are basically still the same Thrawn, which totally makes sense to me. I think that with the military disbanding in the New Republic and basically them only having a defense force, it makes sense that he would still want to get the Empire to reemerge, because that's the only way he can protect his people, is by having the militaristic, idealism basically of the Empire, because the New Republic is not for that. They've already disbanded the military in year 5 of existing. Like, I mean, they're never going to be able to protect the Chiss. They can't even protect themselves.
I mean, they're walking up to doors of people just demanding to be let in. Like they're going about everything the wrong way, and it's showing that the rebellion really didn't learn anything from what they did to the Empire to begin with. The whole reason why they rebelled, they're not really paying attention to that. They're like they're making the same mistakes that they exploited from the Empire. So they're being extremely, I would say, even like blindsided when it comes to seeing this stuff. Like, it's Thrawn will exploit that without a doubt.
I mean, I think he will. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't see the New Republic losing, but I see them in a state of like disarray at the end of all this, so that the First Order can, exist, because this is all going to be done to prop up the sequels some more, which is, I hope that's not all they're doing. I hope that we get a solid story with Thrawn, and I hope that he has a good ending, or he has to go on his way for some reason, maybe back to Peridia, for all I know.
I think, he definitely could. I think if anything, he would just go back to the Chiss. Because how is he going to protect them in a whole different galaxy? It would be like my argument with it. I mean, because like the unknown regions are pretty much uncharted. That's why they call it unknown regions. So like,
that's true.
They wouldn't easily be able to find Thrawn, and I don't think they would waste that time if he went to the Chiss. Because the Chiss have the unknown regions mapped out. The New Republic doesn't.
The Chiss is kind of their own little thing, and they've got. I mean, that's why the New Republic and anyone in the core galaxy doesn't even know about the Grisk. So,
I mean, I would argue too. Like, hardly anybody knows about Lira San. I think only the Ghost crew really know about Lira San and how to get there.
That's true.
So, like, the New Republic, I don't think they're going to waste our resources, especially after Mando Season 3. They're not going to waste the resources if they don't have to.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I agree. Agent Llama Prop, what's going on? I don't get vibes that Dave cares about the Grisk. I kind of feel the same. I just don't think Dave cares about the books at all. I think there's certain things he likes from the EU, and I think he wants to bring those into canon, and he's still going to tell his own story at the end of the day, is what I think.
I mean, look at everything with George. George, he didn't mind the books, but he didn't take everything from them as granted.
Right.
He included, okay, for example, Coruscant was Legends. That's from books.
Yeah, it's from the Thrawn trilogy. Zahn named Coruscant. Timothy Zahn did.
They're just taking the things that they like and want to take from Legends and bringing them in the canon. George done it. Dave's doing it. Whoever comes after Dave will do it probably as well. Hopefully Sam Witwer, but whoever knows.
I definitely think George respects the EU to a certain degree. I just don't think that, like, I mean, at this point, we all know, like, a full adaptation of the EU is not possible. We don't have the Solo twins. We don't have a lot of these characters that you need. And I think it's still possible to get the Old Republic story, Revan, Malik or now all them. I mean, I think that's definitely possible.
They would definitely have to change some things though, especially like with Nihilus. They'd have to like it's the same thing if they were ever to adapt
Yeah, he
Starkiller in live
can't eat
action.
planets.
Yeah, like Starkiller can never pull a Star Destroyer out of the sky in live action, like or in canon. So
Right.
they would have to change things. And with that too, like I think Dave also like in a way does respect Legends and EU as well. He tried to have a Vong story in Clone Wars. It didn't work out. He brought in Thrawn, who's the first person he brought in to ask permission first to bring in Thrawn was Zahn. He didn't have to do that. He just did out of respect for him.
Yep.
So
he wanted to make sure he was being as true to the character as possible. I think we'll really see Thrawn come into his own in the next season of Ahsoka, though, because we didn't get a whole lot of Thrawn this year, or last year, whatever it was. So,
it's the same thing with Vader with Tails. They kind of clickbaited Thrawn a little bit. Like they made him seem like he was going to be more in the show than he actually was.
Yeah, I will say in Tails, going back to Tails, seeing Thrawn, Pelion, and Rook all kind of connected and getting that felt very Thrawn EU to me.
Yeah, it did.
That felt very EU. So
especially with how Thrawn was just like while the fight was going down and everything, like Thrawn was already just standing there. Like he was like
oh yeah, he's just chilling.
He was doing the Nick Fury. Like he was already just there.
Yeah.
Like and that's what made it so much better was that like Thrawn could have just walked up. He didn't even have to show up, but the fact he did with the other two just made it all the better.
Yeah, I know. It was incredible, man. I love seeing Pelion. And Agent Lava Prop says same goes for any canon Thrawn book. So I kind of agree. And the other reason I really want to point this out real quick is that, Eli Vanto is like Thrawn's right-hand man in all the Thrawn canon books. And during Tales of the Empire, like Eli should still pretty much be his right-hand man, but we got Pelion instead, which just tells me that Dave is more going the EU route here, and he doesn't really give a shit about the books.
I also think too that Captain Enoch might be replacing that part of him as well. If we get more of him.
Like which part of him?
I mean,
the
because like
obviously, part or like the.
I want to say yeah with that for sure, at least for right now anyway. Just because like he was kind of like through the promotion, like he was built up to be this character and really didn't do a whole lot. Because everyone thought that this was gonna be like this like Jedi like this big Jedi in this new galaxy, and he really wasn't anything. So like,
right,
I think that there's more for him, and with Rook being out of the equation from Rebels, I think that's gonna be like the replacement for it.
Yeah, I could see it. I part of me thinks it's like Enoch could be Rook's replacement, but the Night Sisters will serve kind of as the Nogri as a whole.
Yeah.
That's kind of my assumption, but we're gonna have to wait and see. Hard Work says, I don't trust this Lucasfilm with any concept from the EU. And I definitely understand that sentiment. Part of like one thing that bothers me, for instance, is that, and this, I don't know why this bothers me. It really shouldn't, but the fact that they named Kanan's kid Jason spelled the same way as Jason Solo is like the most just unnecessary. Like, hey, look, it's Jason, from the EU kind of thing. Like, I do not like that at all.
Yeah, they could have went any other way with it.
Any other name will be fine. Like you got to call him Jason. You got to spell it the same way. Yeah, like that was the. That kind of bugs me. Like it's stuff like that I'm kind of like, I don't know. Like I'm iffy on him bringing EU stuff into the current canon, especially because Luke's temple just goes up in flames. But I'd like to see them adapt the EU into animation and just stick to the books. I'd like to see that.
I mean, I still think we have another 20 years before the temple event happens, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, so we're gonna get attached to people like Katarn or Jade or I don't know. God, why am I drawing a blank on all the?
I know what you're talking about. I mean, it's the same thing like with these like prequel characters. We're getting attached to them, but we know they're not gonna make it out. It's like, well, just give us the. I mean, obviously with Clone Wars it's different. But like
Clone Wars are like, oh yeah, everyone's alive. Like,
but like, just give us some time with these characters before getting to that point. And don't just rush it. Give us some time to give us the stories that we want, and then you can destroy it afterward. Like, give us some NJO stuff. With like, give us Heir to the Empire and everything.
I mean,
just give us the time, and like there is so much time here. You don't need to rush the 20 to 25 years in 5 years in our time. Like you can easily play this out for at least a good 10 to 12 years.
they got to recast to do that, though. They
Yeah,
have to
and
100% recast at that point.
I think that's the only thing that can save this franchise at this point. Would be bringing those fans back, and that's how you would do it.
I kind of agree. You got to get the fans back that are OTEU fans, because they just, regardless of what you guys think, I mean, they shit on OT fans with The Last Jedi.
That's fair.
Like, that's just the facts. I mean, I don't, and you can disagree all you want, but we all wanted to see like prime Luke Skywalker, and like we got a bum.
I mean, yeah, we did. Like,
so
we got Jake Skywalker, dude.
I mean, that's why
Unfortunately.
I think it's salvageable. I do. I do. We've talked about it a million times.
They just have to do it before it's too late.
Yep. It's
And I really hope with Dave's movie, that's the turn of it.
I need Mara Jade, and I need a secret Skywalker child. And you can name him Anakin Skywalker. I don't give a shit what you name him. I don't really care. You can't name him Ben anymore because they had to throw that in there too for so long. Why? Like, man, that's just all this stuff. Is cool.
I mean, if they really want to do it, I mean, okay, if Luke has a daughter, they can just take Jaina. Like, the generally could just take Jaina, and I would be like, all right, at least they're still keeping the names.
That'd be kind of cool too. Yeah, Luke could
So
have a daughter. I'm fine with that.
Because then we'd have Jason, Jaina, and Ben. So it's pretty much already almost there.
Ooh, wow, getting me hyped now.
Okay, I gotta shut up, dude.
Yeah, I know, because it's never gonna happen. It's never gonna happen. We all know it's never gonna happen.
I mean, okay, never say never, because look what they did with Ben and also Jason. Like, they took those two names. They knew what they did. They took those names. So they're gonna take more. Like, it's going to happen. Just
Ben and Jason should be pretty close in age.
Yeah.
In canon, they should be pretty close in age.
Yeah, because Ben was right after Endor. They got a little freaky. That's
yeah. He was born like within a year of Endor,
and Jason was born, I think. No, Jason would probably be 5 to 7 years older, because Jason was born.
That's true. He was born before Endor.
Yeah, because the last season of Rebels ended a year before A New Hope.
Good point. Fair point.
Or I think anyway.
Fair point. No, that makes sense. He doesn't seem that old right now, but he's definitely older than Ben would be.
Okay, no, I apologize. Rebels ended in 0 BBY. So, like, during the events of A New Hope is when Hera probably was in her pregnancy term. Okay. So he would be 5 to 6 years older, probably 6.
Yeah,
pushing
that
7.
makes sense. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because he looks like he's 10 or 11 in Ahsoka show, and we know Ben would be 4 or 5 around that time, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
adds up. Oh wait, I wanted to ask you a question here. Okay, Han says I have 32 novels left until I finish the old EU. There's like hundreds of books, man. I gotta like get a total on how many books you've read, because that's like absurd.
Probably has a giant collection. I wouldn't be surprised.
That's insane. Rambo says hi again. Hey. And he also says that he's having trouble with the stream being delayed 10 plus minutes. I'm not sure, but I've had some issues on my side too with the stream. If anyone else is having issues, I'd actually like to hear that, because maybe I'll just hardwire next time. I don't know. It's kind of like, am I delayed on your side at all?
I haven't had any issues.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want this on. It could just be on Rambo's end with his internet too. It literally, it could be 1,000 things. So
yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. But 10-minute delay, not a big deal. Throw a comment in here if you want to. We'll still get to it. No problem. He accidentally left the high beam setting on his lightsaber. Yeah, it's the Kenobi thing. The character comparison is referring to Disney's take on superficial level of what these characters are. Yeah, it's like I mean, yeah, The Last Jedi is the perfect example, right? Because they don't really know how Luke would react in that situation with Ben. right? Even if he did do what he did, how he would then later respond. Why would he ever send himself into exile? He never did that. He never even gave up on Vader. Like it doesn't really make any sense. So they're trying to deconstruct the character just for the sake of doing it, and it ends up as an assassination. So I totally get what you're saying, man.
I do have one thing real quick. This is from TikTok. I just wanted to talk about this just because I know a lot of people feel this way. Washington commented, "These people will not and cannot make good Star Wars. They don't understand it." I'm just gonna say, give it the next 5 years, because then we'll have Dave's movie out, we'll have John's movie out, and we'll have the Rey movie out. And if by that time things haven't started to turn around, then that is very more like that's very believable. If we're already that point in the future and we don't have anything changing, then it probably, unfortunately, I hate to say it, it probably is starting to go down that way to where it's too late now.
Yeah, I agree completely. Dave's movies, like for me, is like that's my ultimatum.
That's my final straw.
Yeah, like that's. I know we're getting the Thrawn story on screen. I know Luke's going to be in that movie to some degree. It's how well they can set us up for more of that content in the future. And if they do it well, then I'm gonna be all in. But right now, I'm just kind of waiting and seeing. You know, I'm gonna give everything a chance and see if they can right the ship. Because, oof, man, I don't know. The sequels took it way off course.
I'm gonna add to that real quick too. Just because I've been watching a lot of Sam Witwer interviews as recently. I think if Dave were to bring in Sam with John, like Dave, Sam, and John, they could turn the ship around. They could all fix it, especially with Sam's input.
Sam gets it, dude. He understands like why people don't like The Last Jedi. I love when he talked about it on that stream.
I do too. Like
if you guys haven't seen that, yeah, check out Sam Witwer's comments on The Last Jedi, because he understands from the fan point of view why people aren't accepting of it. So,
well said.
You should put that on your TikTok. I know you're kind of going through interviews and stuff, and
yeah,
you should find that one. That's a good one. Where are we at here? Still catching up. To me, Dave fundamentally changing Thrawn's character makes me uninterested in where he goes.
I mean, it's fair. Everyone has their opinions on it. I just also think that like it's been so many things have changed since the early 90s that you're going to have to change things to update it and to make it fit into where we're currently at. But I understand. Like it makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen enough of Thrawn yet. Outside, because I don't really count Rebels. I mean, that's, call it what it is. It's a kid's show, right? But we haven't seen enough of Thrawn in live action yet for me to make a decision on that. But I will say, like, I get what you're saying. Like, he's definitely different than the EU, and he's definitely different than the canon novels. So, like, we're kind of getting a little bit in between, like, a little bit of EU, a little bit of canon, and we're stuck with Dave's version. So, but I honestly, Lars is incredible in the role, so I'm gonna keep watching all the Thrawn content, man. I'm in on the Thrawn content. Or the Night Sisters are his Sabaoth, since they're the sorcerers. Yeah, maybe.
And it's also they have their own kind of use of the Force. So
yeah,
that would be you gotta think there's hundreds, if not thousands, of dead Night Sister bodies there that can be reanimated as well, along with the ones he already has from the tombs. So if they have all those sorcerers versus the like 12 Jedi we have alive at this time, that would make it very believable and formidable. Not just Thrawn against 12 Jedi, because without Islamari, like it's not going to work any other way.
That's actually, now that I think about it, I mean, even the Night Sisters versus the Jedi is something we really haven't seen before, So besides like a few one-off things here and there,
Tales, if you even want to call it that.
Yeah, right.
Grievous.
With Grievous, yeah. I'm just talking about like we really haven't seen the Jedi face an army of sorcerers of any sort, really. So that could be really, really cool.
I mean, the most that we have is Morgan Elsbeth, and I won't even say like that because she's not using sorcery; she's still using melee weapons. Like I want to like almost like I don't want it to sound weird, but almost like Doctor Strange level sorcery. Like when it comes to being able to use it, not like magic. Bending reality around you. But yeah, magic.
Right.
I want to just lead into that mythical side a little bit more.
I swap back and forth. I don't see any delay. Yeah, that's good to know. Got my Andor season 2 to be excited for. Absolutely, man.
Same here.
Andor season 2 is going to be like incredible.
banger.
I really hope we're getting 12 episodes again. That was a nice little change of pace from the usual live action stuff.
I think I probably should wait again until after it's fully done to watch it, just because I had a great experience watching it all
at once. You binged it.
But
Oh,
at the
I
same
liked
time,
it week
like,
to week.
I want to make videos on it too. So like that's kind of where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hope that they maybe learned from last year to not like, oh, because those first 3 episodes are pretty slow. I week after week I could see how you'd be like, dude, come on, like that's understandable. I just hope that they've learned from that. And I think they have, because they already laid all that groundwork. So that was the time to just
now we know all the characters, man. It's gonna be hype, and I think it's actually gonna do really well because of how much people like you didn't watch it when it was first on and got to know it later and have come to really appreciate it. So I really hope it does good numbers and Disney sees that like what a well-written, well thought out show can actually do for them. You know, it's not all about like, oh, just throw in a cameo and throw in lightsabers and like everyone's happy, like, because you know, it's not the way it goes.
I mean, we didn't even have lightsabers and we're still happy.
Exactly. We don't even need them. Like, I'm totally fine if we don't see a Jedi at all this whole entire time.
I would love to have Tony Gilroy and his crew take on the Dawn of the Jedi.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, that'd be a great story for them. Honestly, give them the Old Republic.
Yeah.
Because there's so much political intrigue with the Sith versus Jedi there. Oh, man.
Dude, the Sith Empire, like...
Yeah. That'd be nuts.
I before I die, I have to see Korriban in live action. In some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And I just want to see the EU animated. That's all I want to see. That's all I want to see. Disney is trying to eliminate the OT characters to improve it with their characters. They definitely tried. I don't think they succeeded.
They failed. They failed.
Yeah,
big time.
I mean, they kill off Han first movie. Next movie, they kill off Luke. Third movie, they kill off Leia. Like, they obviously are trying to just replace them with their new, younger characters, but like it did not work at all. No one wants to see your new characters because the only good new character, you already killed him off too. So like, I don't know.
They definitely missed the mark. What was I say? Oh, so we have some Dark Force Rising news, right?
Yeah. I'm going to get there in 1 second. Okay. Let's get a little caught up here. He says he meant the main novels. Okay. That's more understandable.
There's some insane ones out there. Like,
there's like
the Darth Maul books, even like the Shadowhunter books that I don't think are canon anymore. Like,
well, like even like NJO, right? Like I'm going through New Jedi Order and like the core NJO is 19 books, but there's like 10 other books that you can insert into it that fit in there, but they're not technically labeled like New Jedi Order. Like there's a Boba Fett book in there, or there's a couple Boba Fett books, just some like weird books where Han is just there. I don't know. Kind of strange stuff. So I don't read all the little things. I try to read the main stories.
And that's why George said that these stories just run parallel with his, because there's some that are way out there. Like you said, like with Han just being there, like they're given the creative freedom to do what they want with the characters, but they know that it's not going to be fully canon, just because it's impossible to make that all tie in.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I think the Thrawn we'll be getting is Rebels Thrawn. I think he's going to be a little bit more matured.
Yeah.
Personally, we'll see though. You could be right.
I
hope you're wrong, honestly. So
I loved seeing, because we didn't see too much of it in Rebels. I really loved seeing Thrawn get pissed off and get annoyed by Ahsoka and her antics. Like having his face twitch and him like, I know that he got pissed before and like grabbed Imperial soldiers and threw them against the wall and like growled at him. But I'm saying like, I want to see Thrawn start to lose his shit a little bit, like lose his composure to where it's almost like when it happens, it like actually affects him.
Yeah. I would like to see him also kind of, but I want to see him to be tactical about it, right? So like when he does get angry, I want him to be tactical about it because that's the Thrawn we know. And I want to see him get some big wins, I think, too.
He definitely needs to collect himself after, like, and
Mm-hmm.
because like when he did lash out in Rebels, he did like collect himself so quickly, and that's what made it so like menacing was that the fact that like he can flip it on and off. At
Yeah.
least to me.
Right. Right. I want a series about Republic Commandos. Well, Scorch is dead. I just
sorry, dude.
why did they bring in Scorch to just kill him off? Another thing I don't really understand, Clark. Like, I'm sure you're pissed about it too if you watch Bad Batch, but it's just like they could have done a Republic Commandos spinoff.
I mean,
But
they could have even just made his death way better. Like, imagine if him and Gregor had a fight, like as
right,
both clone commandos. Like, dude.
I wanted to see him like fight Wrecker or something. Someone,
Yeah, exactly.
anyone.
Like,
yeah, that was pretty sad. Agent Llama Prop says it will be 12 episodes. I haven't heard that, but if that's true, that makes me very happy.
I mean, I would assume so, just based off of like Mando has 8, and it's continued to have 8. Like any show that's gotten a second season has typically stayed the same episode length.
That's true.
But like Boba's weird. Like obviously we haven't got a second season. Yeah, we got 7.
Season 2 should be more exciting with time skips. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're gonna skip forward all the way until literally Rogue One starts, which is wild. So that should be pretty awesome. I think it's gonna be honestly get Gilroy to write Thrawn. That would be so good. That'd be so good.
The way that he handles like the ISB, like to me is like chef's kiss. Like no one else could write it that well.
Yeah, I mean his writing of the Empire in general is just incredible. Yeah. And
his view on it, yeah.
Finally, he says the guy who wrote the prison arc is co-writing the Dawn of the Jedi, which I did hear that, and that is really, really good news.
One Way Out.
The prison arc is like, dude, that's one of the best for sure. But we probably should wrap up soon. It's like been well over an hour, but I do want to show you guys a little bit of progress we're making. So I got some new backgrounds to Ben this week. And he has added a face to Pelion, which is
sweet,
great. Yes, yes.
Not blink anymore.
Yep. And now we just need to get some movement in Thrawn. But we're creating this like 3D effect, right? We're trying to give depth to everything. You know, we're going to make few more changes to this specific scene, but yeah, I mean, just if you look at like where we were like a couple months ago, we're making progress. So that is all I really have to share on that specific piece right now. But just keeping you guys posted that we are hard at work.
I'm so excited. Like even as like a fan, like I'm just excited to see where this goes.
Oh, I'm super excited. Every time he sends me something, I'm like, oh my god, this is awesome.
That's fair.
Clark says he looks like looks like a vampire from Castlevania. Yeah, he does. We definitely took some inspiration from Castlevania on the initial design because I really liked the anime at the time I was watching it when I first made this, and I was like, Castlevania is so awesome. Like I think the characters have like a very mature look. Yeah. I mean, we're kind of like, I mean, it just feels like this stuff is like really coming together all of a sudden because we have so many backgrounds ready and we're getting some characters drawn in. Obviously, we showed you guys the Mara shot. I'll pull up the Mara shot one more time because I don't know. Did I show that? I think I showed that on Saturday, right?
Yeah, we showed that last time, along with Blank Face Pelion and everything with Talon Card.
Right. Let's see here. Here we go. In case any of you missed it and wanted to catch the Mara shot. This is where she walks in to greet Thrawn.
I find it so funny that it's like Ben took his action figure.
Yeah, this is his Thrawn action figure as a stand-in for now. You can actually see the lighting is like hilarious on it. It's just like I don't know if he like posed him at the exact correct angle, but everything else is drawn right now. So he's like
the
looking
jaw
at
movement on Thrawn. Dude, like just watch where his chin goes.
Oh yeah, he completely like animated the action figure so that I don't know if he traces over it or what his whole action is, but yeah, pretty awesome. So there it is. There it is, guys. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Anything else you wanted to share before we call it?
Do you want to bring up real quick the one tweet I sent you from the acolyte talking about the pieces of the lie line?
Oh yeah, pretty interesting stuff because no one's sure if this is a Sith or what this guy is, but let's talk about it a little bit. Let me pull it up here.
After we read about Sue, I'll give my opinions on what I think this character, like who this character is, and like what like where this is coming from.
This is the one, right?
Yep. So
go for it.
In the trailer, this character Kamir says "peace is a lie," and this is the first line of the Sith Code, and which was made by Darth Bane, and Bane wouldn't technically be alive at this time, but the Sith Code and the Sith loyalists still definitely would be, because everyone like has to realize the Sith are still around. They're not wiped out. They're just in the shadows hiding. The Sith loyalists are still a thing. Sith acolytes obviously are still a thing. Hence the show. And I think this character, the perfect way I can word it is look at Chewit from Rogue One. Essentially, he's a Jedi loyalist. This person, I guarantee, is going to be a Sith loyalist. Because, thankfully, by Sam Witwer, he made the Sith Code canon in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So, him with Kamir saying this even brings out the fact even more that the Sith Code definitely is a thing. There is Sith loyalists, and that there is still believers in the Sith Empire. They're still around. They're not extinct. The Jedi just don't know about them. And that's the whole point of it. That's why Darth Maul says to Palpatine in Episode 1, like, at last we'll reveal ourselves. At last we'll have our revenge. Because he hasn't been allowed to reveal himself as a Sith Lord.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I still am like a little scratching my head a little bit about like the character that we see, the masked character with the red lightsaber. Because I'm just like not really sure what to think there. I have no idea. I'm like, some theorize he has something to do with Abeloth. Yeah, you can see the teeth on the mask, very similar to the Abeloth design. So,
I mean,
I'm not sure, man. I'm like, I have no idea what to think about this character, this guy. I'm just kind of, with Acolyte, we're all going in completely blind. None of us have any idea what is really going on. So we're gonna see.
I would love for it to have something to do with Abeloth, but I think that character is such a big character. The only way that could be brought in, or the only person who should be able to bring that in, would be Dave with everything with Peridea. I think that's the only person who'd be capable of telling that story on screen.
Well, he actually had a hand in like creating Abeloth, so it makes sense that he would do that. He'd be the one to do that. And I think Peridea, you're right, is the way to go there. Kind of curious though. Clark says, I'm looking forward to when we start doing cast interviews. So I'm thinking, I've been thinking about this a lot, and we're probably quite a few months out still. But once this is done, totally done, we're releasing it. I'm thinking the week of release, we'll just like do a live stream, maybe like every day, and just bring people on that have worked on it. I think that's kind of, I want to really push it. I want to get as much support for the project as possible. Because you never know if we get enough support. Like I said, my goal is to do like a 30-minute like solid short, all in animation, 2D animation, but it takes so much time. I mean, if we can get multiple people working on it that all have similar skill sets, then it becomes a reality.
Yeah, and we will also ultimately too, we wouldn't want to burn Ben out, and we want to, if anything,
it's impossible. I mean, we
tried.
He's doing great, but if one person's doing animation, you're gonna see this is a 1.5-minute trailer. I think it's a little 30 seconds longer than the last one. It's gonna take an extra couple months just to do the extra 30 seconds. So
if we can find people that are at the same skill set as Ben to work alongside him, it would only improve it, and not only improve it, but it would make it come out even faster compared to just the one-man show we have, which has been great. But
that's right.
We just have to take it day by day.
I think so.
I mean, I'm trying to learn Blender right now to help out with this. I know Joe has been storyboarding, and he also has been doing stuff with Blender. Just takes a little time.
That's right, guys. So keep supporting the channels, both of ours, and we will keep working on these trailers and trying to get them to you guys because we want to see just some sort of visualization of Legends on screen. That's what we're working on towards. So
I agree.
But all right, I think we'll call it there. Thanks everyone. It was a great stream. Thanks everyone for joining and all the questions, all the great conversation. Love talking with you guys. Till next week.
Yeah, see you guys then.
I hope we get some good news. I don't know.
Too.
I hope we get something. But
some set photos would be nice.
Hey,
hopefully Tony can hop a fence or something.
Tony needs to climb on over to the studio over there and see what's going on with this Mando movie. But we'll see. All right, man. I'm getting out of here. We'll talk to you guys later. Once again, may the force be with you.